Today, we'll be in conversation with a music executive whose name you might not be familiar with, but his work has made a huge impact on the music industry.
Join us today for The Music Man Reigns, a conversation with Adrian Miller.
I'm Monique Kelley, and this is Music Day, a Verified Hit, a podcast all about trends and issues facing the Black music industry. Unapologetic conversations that we hope will educate and inspire. You can listen to Music Day on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and anywhere else that you listen to your podcast. Today's guest is Adrian Miller. Adrian's experience in the music industry ranges from radio disc jockey, boots on the ground, guerrilla street promotion, creating streetwear that became a hip hop music must-have, A&R executive, artist management, label founder and co-owner, mastermind of successful digital and real-world marketing campaigns, executive producer, and film and television music supervision. Adrian has been immersed in nearly every facet of the business and understands what it takes to elevate artists and the art form to the next level. Welcome, Adrian.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, Monique. Wow.
I know. I'm like, wow, too. You impressed with yourself a little bit.
Hired.
So I want to dive in because I just want to pick your brain because I'm fascinated. Your musical loves included rapping, breakdancing, and vinyl records where you learned about the music you love. You've come to our attention due to your work as the music supervisor for the Wu-Tang Clan TV series. But there's even more to your broad career. Can you take us on a short walk through your career from A&R to management to label owner to music supervisor? Take us on the journey.
Okay. I was kind of pushed into the journey of management when all along I just wanted to participate. I was, because I was the only college student graduate around my friends who were all excitingly coming of age and getting asked to come to the record labels. I was asked to be the guy to read the contracts, and then that turned into, "You're my manager," which, easily turned into the label saying, "Well, if you have all this access, why don't you do it for us?" And so, long story short, I was just a citizen in the community from St. Louis to Los Angeles that got a chance to see, all of this business and culture of hip hop music through Black music grow and graduate and find its own place, and I found my place in it.
Yeah. Where do you think your foundation for your love of music stemmed from?
It would have to be an experience I had growing up in LA. I was at a talent show. I went to a talent show at Sportsman's Park, and I always heard Cameo and the Temps and my mom's and dad's jams. I always listened to that, but I didn't put the connection together that he was throwing some of the biggest parties in LA. So I didn't connect the fact that Rick James was around or this person was around to, it being business. I didn't see that. I saw the fun and the good times. And so at the talent show, I saw guys dancing, and I told my dad, I said, I can do that. And I didn't say I can do that hip hop maneuver that they were doing. I said, I can do that. And he was just like, if you can do it, do it. Shut up talking about it and be about it. And I did it. And I was like, oh, I like it. And then he was just like, but you didn't do it to the beat. From that moment, it kind of struck me that there was a beat. And I always looked for that beat. Yeah.
I love that. It's so great when you can find a passion and then marry it with work and just love doing what you're doing. They always say, if you love what you do, it never feels like works, which is what it sounds like. So what motivated you to go into A&R?
Well, I've always been a seeker. curiously the guy who takes apart the computer or the radio and tries to put it back together. And so I would always look at vinyl and read and research it like it was a book or a study, and know who was in the room, and where it was recorded, and down to what was Shaka thinking when she was having her lyrics written by someone else, and why wouldn't she write that? And it wasn't until I got a chance to meet her and ask her, why didn't she write her own songs? She's like, baby, I don't got to write my songs. I can just sing them. And
Why you
so
sound just like her?
do that. That's what I can do. So, yeah, finding out how an artist and repertoire worked and maneuvered from the perspective of a label was kind of akin to what the kids do nowadays in terms of just putting out their own music. I was kind of building my own job description, if you will. But I actually did get a chance to look at the greats, Lil Solace, John McClain, Sam Sever, and look at them from a perspective of, I want to be like those guys when I grow up, and Daryl Sutton. Who can I say? It's so many of them. Oh my God, I would do a name that tune and person right now with you of the guys. But the person who tucked me in and said, "Hey, follow me, and I'll show you the route," was Orlando Aguian. Between Orlando and Kim Bowie, they were very much at a smaller record company, little independent outfits. Kim worked for Island Records, which I was able to get my first record deal done there. And Orlando was at Delicious Vinyl Island, which I could tell you more about that story, because everything I've ever done, and I encourage people to learn how to take things full circle, because what you don't see as your onset of opportunity doesn't mean it's not there. It just means it's not there yet. So, we heard about his time versus ours.
Tell me more about the Orlando story.
Hilarious. So O was a rapper, and he was an entity in LA, but I didn't meet him in LA. I was trying to get into the Tone Loc show while I was going to school in Tulsa. And Tone Loc came to town, and who's better to be at the show than the guy who's on the hip hop station, or not, excuse me, the guy who's playing hip hop at the radio station. I'm supposed to be at the show. I didn't get an invite. So I showed up for their sound check properly early, and Orlando walked out to, he was moving around with Tone Loc at the time, and he was like, "Yo, man, do you know where the people are to let us in so that we can do our sound check?" And I said, "I'll find out." And he said, "I appreciate you." So I just made myself handy.
Right.
And he saw me as somebody who worked at the club. I didn't work at the club. By the time I made it back to LA from school in Tulsa, Orlando was expecting to see me. And, the unexpected expected to see me was me just showing up saying, "Hey, man, I made it. I'm here to work." He's like, "Boy, if you don't get away from me." So he and I are very close friends. I love him like a big brother now. But it grew into that from him realizing that there was no getting rid of me.
Right. That's a good quality to have. Which leads me to what the management. So was management an outgrowth of A&R, and did it require another set of skills altogether?
Similar skill set, except for in the A&R realm, you're planning around the art. On the management side, you're planning everything. You're
Right.
planning around the aptitude and psychology of the artist. Dealing with being that extended family member. You're dealing with the growth of a person into their dreams. So in a way, it's like being an A&R person, because you are kind of a manager in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all, when you look at it, it's all sales management. Management of expectations of the opportunity, management of expectations.
Management of expectations. Let's talk a little bit more about, you said something really interesting, the psychology of the artist. Is there one factor that you've noticed that is familiar with all artists, that's, something that you have to deal with when working with artists?
Do I say the negative one?
Absolutely.
that you can never start with an artist that's going to stay with you.
Oh, that's
That,
okay.
that hurt, unfortunately. And I'll tell you why we have a stigmatism in Black music, that we think the grass is greener, and we tend to not respect people who look like us,
Interesting.
who are family and closer to us in style and, passion. And we look at a different origin and race and say that person could probably do more for me. I've actually had an artist tell me once before, I got to get with the Jewish guy because they can do more for me in my career path. And I took it as, you just don't know what I can do.
Right.
You
Right.
know, I, as you're mistaken me for somebody who is not who I can grow into, and I'm mistaking you for somebody who is.
And how do we get around that?
These conversations, these heavy conversations, Monique, it's really like, I'm not asking you to give me a free ride, ever. I don't want that from any artist I ever rock with. But I also understand that they have friends who want to be in the business and in the game who aren't quite in position yet. And I say to them, get in the position, learn everything you can. You got a faster growth rate than an artist does with a hit record by being out there and trying to go and attain an interlope of internships and jobs and getting out there and just being in the mix. You can do that quicker, faster, better, stronger than an artist. So learn the business at hand before you go try to do a job. Know what that job is potentially. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And speaking of artists that you have been with from the very beginning, let's talk about Anderson.Paak. Because you've been with them from the beginning until now. Is his career the one you and he envisioned? And I also need to know how you came up with the spelling and notation of his name. You answer it in any order that you want.
I'm gonna start it off by saying former manager.
Former manager, yes.
And I only do that for the reckoning that I don't have a problem saying I did something. I've moved on. My career was something before that.
Yeah.
And I might even add that I didn't learn this business of starting with an artist from dealing with artists. I learned the business of starting with artists with dealing with big managers. My first real job at that was thanks to Stephen Rifkin. Thanks to, and speaking of, Jewish individuals in the business, Paul Stewart, Michael Ross. I had my fair share, Amanda Demi, Happy Walters, and then Benny. Benny took me in and tucked it in right. So,
Benny, yes.
yeah, got a shot. Really, really was there. He really did give me a job. Um, that's how I know Pat, which is funny.
Oh, everybody knows Pat.
But I worked with Pat.
You did work with, you did?
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
goodness. I didn't know that. Okay.
that's how I know her. So the thing about Anderson, and he really had a vision for what he wanted. He was Breezy Lovejoy when I met him. He wasn't Anderson.Paak.
Breezy Lovejoy.
Yeah, yeah, he was Breezy Love.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. He had a sound all his own. He had a very unique look. I'll let you guys go back and pull those pictures up. And he really had a vision for what he wanted to do, and we talked about it. We've had a vision board, that worked from, and we knocked down everything on that vision board in a big way. And he was like, I want to meet Dr. Dre. That was on his vision board. Um, you know, I want a platinum record. That was on his vision board. I want $1 million. It was on his vision board. I mean, he put the wildest things on his vision board, and we actually knocked it out.
Wow.
So that is not just a testament to me. I'm gonna state that as a testament to two people finding each other at a good time, and that was lightning in a bottle. You don't strike that all the time in your career on either side, but I believe in the destiny, and I believe in God. So I'm always gonna be preaching that you got to have something that you really believe to be able to meditate through that, and then you get into the expectations of how you manage that time and you pursue that dream.
I love that because a lot of people talk about manifestation, but there's a bigger power to manifestation working with that vision board working, to your point.
It's the exercise of the manifestation.
Yep.
So also his name is Brandon Anderson.
Oh, okay.
Paak is really his middle name.
Oh, that's his middle name? Spelled the
Yep.
same way? Spelled the same way too?
Correct.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Period. The dot is, he says he puts the dot there because if you miss it, you're not paying attention. So he wants that there for the attention of detail. And I ain't mad at him. He is so, he's a unique individual in his own right. To get to where you have to grow into being your own artistic vision, you have to be unique. You have to be destined for greatness and be great. Yeah, I learned a lot rocking with him, and we still do a lot of business together because we started off this business as business owners and entrepreneurs. I like to think of myself as one of the most important Black entrepreneurs I know. And the power is in ownership. So we maintain the masters to all his music. Mm-hmm. So I still help him kind of deal with that catalog to this day.
That is the key, from what I understand, is maintaining those masters. That is the game changer.
Well, a lot of people talk about it, but I think the thing is doing the business of it, the cataloging, the actual rights management, the placement, the licensing, the sync, all of the above. Which, when you learn that, that's the art and business of publishing.
Right. Yeah. And
then,
speaking of, to your point, being the greatest entrepreneur that you know, let's talk about your management company, Zion Incorporated. The management of any artist can be daunting, but especially when the artist is unknown. What is the key to breaking through?
It's campaigning. It's a lot. Once you have the have your team strategy in order and you have your go-to market, you have to champagne campaign. You have to get out there, kiss babies, walk around and help old ladies across the street or young ones, whichever it goes. And you have to really get about your service work. You got to get out there and let people know what it is you are standing for. Me, I try to pride myself on standing for something or falling for everything. So I don't fall for anything. So I always had to make sure that the artists that I rock with say something that's of relevance and say something that's, going to change the outlook through the art, the perception of which we have access to,
Mm-hmm. And then from a manager's perspective, what is a key indicator that the act will be successful?
Well, nowadays they'd like to think that the numbers tell the story and the tell of the tape. I'm still in the place where I can hear something. And I play this two ways, so bear with me.
I want to hear both.
So the first thing I say is, if by the time I like it, it's probably not going to be liked by kids. So, if I like it, you ain't going to blow up. But if I like it, I'll work really hard to blow you up. Mm-hmm. So it's a catch-22 with me. I ain't saying this is easy. I'm saying that it is.
Okay, I hear you. So what's key for a successful manager, or what did you learn at the age of 24 from working with the Benny Medina?
Okay, so at that stage in life, I was leaving out of a management company knowing pretty much what not to do.
Okay. What was it not to do? What was it not to do?
Well, not to have too many artists under one roof, unless you had the same wherewithal to create, work in operation for such bandwidth. It's one thing to say, I want to do this job. It's another thing to be able to actually do it and see it through. And agreeably, if someone doesn't know what to expect, then they expect everything. And you have to also manage expectations. That's really important and key to being a good manager. So when I was working for Benny, I was an A&R guy. And I had to deal with the managers, and I had to deal with all the top managers, because in that era, what people don't realize is the record business is a series of musical chairs. And a lot of times that person that you burn bridges with going up that ladder is going to be
Hello.
your boss down the line. So I was just, a babe trying to learn. And, I was a kid that would be in your office and in a heartbeat, Kerry Gordy or somebody who was at Paisley Park 1 minute and be like, get out of my office. And I'm bothering him to get the information that I need. And that was the era when the artist formerly known as wasn't having it with us at Warner. So Kerry, I'm so fortunate that I was just with his wife too today, which is funny as all get out.
Full circle.
Full
Full
circle, right?
circle.
But listen to the full circle here. Kerry was at Paisley Park. Didn't want to have anything to do with any of the A&R people, me included. But I didn't know Kerry and Benny used to be in a group together.
What?
I didn't know. How am I supposed to have this information? So I'm just me. I'm cool and collected. I'm not giving anybody any headaches. Yes, he's the GM of Paisley Park, and I'm very unapologetically me. So when he comes over as my boss, as the VP of A&R for Warner Brothers, he's automatically taken to me because he loves my attitude on go get him. So in that moment, I think I learned that you might be on one side of the fence or the other, but one thing is for sure, and two things is for certain: we all got to get a job accomplished. So heavier is the heart that moves steady. With that, I don't mean to get too philosophical.
No, I love it. Keep going. That's good.
With it, I just feel like my learned course has been be kind. There's nothing wrong with, I see so many attitudes with managers and, posturing with executives. That's truly unnecessary. You can just get your point across and say what you got to say. And I've seen it. Some of the best people in the business are very cool, calm, and collected. You will never get John McClane to raise his voice to you. Now Benny will, but so, but Kerry won't. Kerry's just smiles and giggles and lots of love.
It's interesting. The late, great Dr. Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And this sounds applicable to exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I believe in that. I think that I love that quote. So I just have trained myself to be a kinder spirit. And, I want to leave here with people knowing that, hey, I touched their spirit in a good way. Maybe we didn't come up with a hit record and your career didn't blow up, but, we really gave it a real effort. And, all cooler heads prevail. Not everybody's going to work register. Somebody got to work on fries.
Okay. I'm going to steal that quote. I'm definitely going to steal that quote.
From Dr. Adrian Miller.
So is it a sense of artistic empathy, artistic control, or something else overall when dealing with the artist and being a manager? Is it a sense of artistic empathy, artistic control, or something else in addition to making the fries and working the register?
I think these words exist, these sayings exist because it all makes a difference. It's all important. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, how many labels do you own now? I have ATU, Delicious Vinyl Island, OBE with Anderson.Paak, Tiny Universe with Oma Keith. Am I missing any? How many do you have all together?
So A Tiny Universe is ATU.
Okay.
And that's
okay. So that's one. Okay.
That's Omas and I. We do that together. Anderson and I own OBE. Michael Ross and I partnered with Leslie, our Delicious Vinyl Island. And ownership has its how do you say ownership has its, I don't know, privileges, I guess. But
Yeah.
I like to think of this ownership conversation as partnership, and I also talk to my partners about being a better partner. Those are the only labels I own. Zion is a management company that managing partner like you would if you were at a big real estate house or firm, man.
Okay.
And I manage and own it IP. So I have a lot of IPs that I'm really about trademark, copyrights, intellectual property. It's something I kind of picked up in school.
Just a little something, something.
I went to school for some.
Just a little
I
something.
went to school for some, yeah.
And what would you say? You talked about how it has its privileges, but what is the greatest reward of owning your own label?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I haven't kicked it up yet. You answer that question for me. What is the greatest reward for owning your own label? I know I must have to be maybe I get a free admittance into a psychiatric ward at some point in my career. I don't know. What you tell me?
You own your stuff. You own it.
Okay.
All right. We'll revisit that. We're going to revisit that in a
That'll
few.
work. Okay. I don't know if that.
Okay, so let's talk about Wu-Tang Clan. Did you work with Wu-Tang Clan while at Loud Records? And if so, were you recommended by the group to be music supervisor?
Say that really fast 10 times. I dare you.
Did you work with
Wu-Tang Clan?
Wu-Tang Clan.
Can't do it.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with. Okay. So, tell us, were you recommended by them to be the music supervisor? And take us through the full day of what it's like being a music supervisor.
So, I was recommended by my client that I manage, who worked on a couple of seasons with RZA, along with my co-management partner, Cameron Mitchell. So my client is King Tech. Cameron is he used to be at CAA. He has a new company called Artistry with Max Goose. Cameron, myself, and Max always have projects in rotation because we work collectively. But Cameron was probably, if not the best black agent once upon a time at CAA. Like, you couldn't even have a meeting with him because he was so occupied with time and space. But he's since started his own business. And he was like, hey, you got a lot of music things that you've been doing. You and RZA need to work together a little closer. And I have a great relationship with RZA since working at Loud with Wu-Tang. So that was how the introduction kind of came full circle. I'd worked on seasons 1 and 2, managing tech. And so when the opportunity came up, I'd already did the film Cutthroat City. I music supervised Cutthroat City for RZA.
And what's the day look like when you are doing music supervision?
Talking with a bunch of producers, talking with the, house music team, making sure that the songs that can fit, you're choosing through series of songs, that potentially will fit a scene. You're making sure that the director likes and loves the ideas of those songs. He may have a series of songs that you have to figure out, and then you have to clear all that. So dancing around all the labels and publishers, trying to get deals that make sense, staying within the budget for the companies that you respectively have to do it for. So it's not just me. Again, I'm in a partnership of people that I'm pushed in the front to be the face of whatever music supervision, but I actually have a whole working music team. Miss Carol, who works very closely with me full time, Carol Reinheimer, and then Demonica and Ty, they're my team. Then Kira is on my team, along with King Tech, along with everybody that we have to source all this through RZA. When it comes down to Alex and RZA ultimately making the decisions. Alex wrote the show and he's the executive producer. RZA is the executive producer / writer / director. All that. And then, Disney has been such a joy to work with and for, like, the whole team over there, from Jeremy to Rodney to, I just give everybody the names and shout them out, Brian. They have a real formula on success, and they really are sticklers about how you have to turn around your paperwork. And so I'm okay with that. And, meantime and in between time, the work seems like it's never ending, because you're talking about hundreds of songs in a season, not and I, thousands of songs potentially, because you have to also find the ones that work on both sides. So just because I like it, don't mean that it stays in the show. And it's heartbreaking sometimes, because it really does fit. It really does set a tone for the moment.
Yeah.
And so I am more about like walking away from something like, wow, did you see that scene? And sometimes it's not music that makes the scene. It's just the scene that makes it. But
How do you handle when you are really passionate about a particular song that goes with the scene and it's not agreed upon?
oh,
Are you ever able to make them change their mind, or do you just kind of say, okay, this is your project, we'll do what you want to do?
no, it's our project, first of all.
Our project, the collaborative project.
Always. Otherwise, I ain't doing it.
Always.
Otherwise, don't call me about it. If you don't want my opinion, and don't ask, because I'm going to give it to you straight up. And then, I'm a thinker through the music. Like, for me, having this conversation, I've came up with like 5 songs that are apropos to the conversation. So in a scene, I'm going to be able to do that, whether it's a Carpenter's record, whether it's, a Motown piece, whether it's a blues piece, something that Zydeco, whatever. I got all kinds of stuff right here. So it's almost like the music just comes out of me no matter what. But I'll also cry. You'll get these puppy dog eyes if I like something. Like,
okay, you can have it. Whatever you say, we going with it. And then you mentioned DeMonica. Let's see. You mentioned DeMonica. Was she from the Good Girls?
Mm-hmm.
Are you referring to her?
Oh,
okay.
You want the story?
Yes, I need the story.
So I don't know who wasn't a Good Girls fan. I don't know.
Were they on Your Sweetness Is My Weakness? Is that them?
Yes.
That's the jam. That's still the jam.
Not only was it the jam, but do you know how fine they were? Good Girls are bananas. So to get an opportunity to work with one of them, I get on her nerves.
Do you really?
I get on her nerves. Monica's one of the best people in servicing, clearances. So she really learned the business of clearances. She's been doing this for over 20 years. And so when I needed somebody to get on my team with clearances and be on my team, I knew I could count on her, because she knew I was going to get on her nerves. Kind of worked.
Hey, sometimes that makes it work.
I was a real Good Girls fan. I had a poster of the Good Girls back in the day, and I was like, ooh, I want to meet them so bad. I don't know what to do with myself. Joyce and I were friends before DeMonica and I knew one another. So, I kind of made my way through the whole crew, like, yeah, and landed here.
It's such a small world in this industry. What you were talking about before, all the different people, the ins and outs, it all kind of comes together.
Hopefully we all know one another.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of which, in terms of knowing each other and those relationships and music, AI has been a huge topic of discussion. So I'm just curious, are you interested in using AI to pursue other projects, or are you already doing so?
I'm usually already doing so. By the time somebody figures it out, I've done it already.
What are your thoughts on AI?
It's here. It's been here. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I wonder if it will change in terms of, the heart and soul of music, and how, music to me is about feeling and getting in touch with an emotion.
Yeah. No, the answer is yes, it will change. No, it won't change what you think the heart and soul of music is. Okay. I think that you said it, when you said it, will it change? Yes, it will. But it won't ever stop being the perspective of what we do, what connotates um, frequency and harmony. You can't get that from anything but the real McCoy. You cannot. Breathing life is not something a computer can do. Period. And what do you do when you sing? I'll let you tell it.
Well, I can't even hum, so I can't even answer that question.
Poppy,
I can't
I
sing nothing.
I you look at this joy in you. What do you have? Do you have a whistle that can't stop?
I mean, I'm telling you, I have no time. I can talk, but when it comes to singing, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt.
So I beg to differ because some artists probably only talk their thing.
Okay, give me some auto tune or something.
No. Do you know who Leonard Cohen is?
No, who's that?
Okay, then there you go. He's an artist. All he did was talk.
Oh, really?
You need to get up on your Leonard Cohen. Come on now.
Okay, I'm reaching out. You're gonna make me a star because you know how to make breakthrough artists. I'm next.
You gotta want that more than me.
And speaking of which, what is next for you? What's your next big project? Your next big passion project? What is next for Adrian?
I was just meditating today at the Art of Life Temple in LA. I went to meditate this morning and get introduced to that. And I think the next big project for me is paying attention to the projects. I have a lot of projects. I don't think that one is bigger than the other necessarily, but they're all like, we take our time. We really pursue greatness out of that. And I have, it's so funny. I was talking to Miss Carol the other day. I call my right hand Miss Carol. Her name's Carol. I call her Miss Carol. I don't know why I do that. I tend to do that more than anyone. But we were speaking about,
has a good ring to it.
Yeah, how all my relatives are now performers, and they're all looking at me to help them. And I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna just propel you. I need you to want to do it. But if you got it, cool. So one of my my young nephews, Julian Rose, he's in front of many labels right now, about to do his thing and blow up. I did a record with him for an artist I represent, an artist named Bryn Joy. Bryn is one to look out for because he's got this sound that is, oh my goodness, and he's young, and he's Bryn, Bren Joy.
Bren Joy. And what kind of music is he doing?
Great R&B.
Ooh, yes. I need some more R&B.
Like, he is the young version of a lot of things that we are missing in music. And people always say, well, why ain't this? It's coming. Trust. We're going to bring it through. And with that said, Ro James, I represent Ro. Ro is coming with his new project on RCA. So I'm excited about that. Super excited about my niece is Blakeyana. Blakeyana has every label in a handstand trying to get her attention, and she's going to make a decision as to where this goes, and we'll make some announcements shortly. But yeah, it's good stuff for her, and she's a rapper and got all this vivacious energy. But where we might be missing the mark on a lot of the young ladies telling their stories through hip hop, they got to be street tough. She says what she means, but she was raised right. I can put it like that.
Oh, I like the direction that you're going in with that. I like that.
My sister went in that direction with I got to give her props. Like, her mom did everything right. And,
right.
You're with Blake and you're like, hey, you gonna have a drink? She's like, I don't really drink. Like,
oh wow.
She don't smoke. She about being on top of her business, and she wants things.
How old is she?
Blake is good question. 23. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's really good.
Blake and Brett
that's good
age, and so I'm dealing with a lot of like upstart young people. I'm representing Shamik Moore now.
Okay.
He's coming out with a little feature film called Spider-Man in June.
Oh, okay. That little thing. Okay. All right,
Yeah,
Shamik.
the reach is crazy right now. Um, Wolf is another niece. She's incredible. Everybody's putting her on the pedestal. Like my boy just wrote Shaka Khan's new album. Speaking of Shaka,
Ooh.
so there's a new Shaka Khan album coming from an artist the writer, I represent him.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you have a lot of
It's
great
it's
things.
a lot. It's a lot. So I can say, all these different things, but when you think about the labels, it's really like I try to push things and pursue things through the labels that I rock with. From Gumbo to Black Hero to Cassowary to Shamik, all these records are getting ready to go boop, 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 and and I see my name attached to it. But I'm here to help them and be successful is what it's all. This is my job. This is what I do.
This is your not just your job. It sounds like it's also your passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what makes the difference. That's why you're successful and happy. So that's some good stuff, Adrian. Like this is good.
All right.
Well, just tell the viewers before we get off,
Mm-hmm.
where can they find your social media, contact, website info so that we can be the first to hear all these announcements?
Oh, I always say get on the news feed with me. Anybody in the industry, if you want to know what up-to-date news and markers are. I don't just talk music business. I talk about tech. I talk about innovation. I'm always trying to grow us as a culture of people. POC is super important for us to do what we do. And I think about people who really excite me and help me guide a path. Like God bless the family of Harry Belafonte.
Oh gosh,
That
man,
we are not losing anything when people are in transition. We are gaining the opportunity to say that we were there in that time and space with them. So I am
absolutely.
I'm a fan of that. And so Zion.com is XYION.com. If you go to Zion.com, any and all things that are involving me, and my social media, I guess you put the links on here, but it's Adrian_Miller on Instagram and Adrian Miller on Twitter. I'm never really on either or.
We'll stick to the XY. What is it? XY.com?
XYION.com, and it's pronounced
Zion. Okay. Well, we hope you all enjoyed learning something today about a truly unsung music executive, producer, and music supervisor, Adrian Miller. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to the audio podcast, please subscribe, like, follow, make comments. We'll be sure to comment back. And thank you so much for your time, Mr. Adrian Miller.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Kelly. I appreciate the energy. You are a beacon, and
Thank you.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this interview. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Music Day, a verified hit, real talk with experience. Executive producer, Jacqueline Reinhardt, Pat Shields, Ken Johnson, and Mark Hill. The associate producers are Tony Winger, Sheila Eldridge, and Shannon Henderson. Talent booking, Black Dot LLC. Production by Mark Hill Creative and Mean Old Lion Media. I'm your announcer, Jay Johnson. This has been a Living Legends Foundation, Inc. production. Find out more about the Living Legend Foundation, Inc. or donate to livinglegendsfoundation.com.